you know, I want to go to Rwanda.
Just cross the channel.
It sounds a fabulous...
Just cross the channel.
It sounds a fabulous destination. It's 30 times safer than America. There are fewer guns than there are in the streets of America. I've been paying great attention to both sides of this argument. And one side that is constantly parroted by the Liberals who say that it's akin to sending someone to hell is the fact that 27 years ago there was a genocidal war. And that's correct. But that was over a quarter of a century ago. And they have evolved into a 21st century country. There is no longer any crime against tribal communities. That's history. And that's something that really, I think, needs to be nipped in the bud when someone tries to say, what, you want to send them where they chop your arms off if you're from the Tutsi tribe, do you? It's not that way anymore.
Well, I mean, we're prepared to go to the World Cup in Qatar that has human rights abuses, you know, and we know about that. So I just think that there's something else behind this. Why, you know, OK, we don't... People complain if the migrants are going to be next door to them, you know, and I understand, especially if you're in a small village and suddenly there's twice or three times the number of people in that village. First of all, it's unsustainable and it's a little bit unfair for the people who live there. You need to be much more considerate and considered in the way you're doing this. But then if we want to stop people from coming via that crossing.
There is a problem with the policy itself, though, because I think it's partly based on the perception that Rwanda isn't a good place to go. I think there's a kind of built-in, implied racism against Rwanda.
Well,
now, I haven't been there.
Yeah.
I haven't been there. But if people said, oh, we'll take them to the Isle of Man, which actually had no murders at all in the year I was looking at, then I would say, well, that's OK, because it's kind of white and it's British Isles-ish. But Rwanda's really far away, and that's meant to put people off. So there's a conspiracy here with the demonstrators, but also with the policymakers who have, I think, chosen Rwanda and offered them something like 5% of their GDP to do this. Maybe it's a little bit less than that, but it's a substantial amount of money to do this because of this conspiracy of ignorance about that country.
Well, there is that, but I think there's also a level of you didn't intend to go there. You intended to come to the UK. So if you come here, you won't be where you thought you would be. So consider if you do it that way. And I think that's part of it. But and there is, I agree with you, there's almost like, ooh, Rwanda, you don't want to go there. Yeah. But it's a deterrent. But then in a way, if the deterrent works and stops people from crossing the channel, which the ultimate goal is to save lives, isn't it?
Well,
so
I think that's what the government is saying. I don't think that the ultimate goal of the government is to save lives. I think that they've had to sell it in a court of law as to why they are sending people to Rwanda. I think genuinely, I think people just want to try and find a way to stop them coming over on